This food is so good. It's from Jingdu. Go get your ball. Go get your ball, Radar. Hello. This is my new camera, and I'm not really sure what happened last week. Well, I am pretty sure, because the camera was 98 bucks. I bought it off eBay. Originally, I was supposed to get the one for $160 from Amazon. I saved about $70 buying it on eBay. So I had extra money to look for, I have extra money now. And I never touched base with the talent agency in Los Angeles. Zhang Ji is having a baby. When I originally got the number last January, atop of I went scuba diving, because I know that it's pretty arduous thing, for me to do. Sometimes, I don't know, it gets a little spacey in this part of the woods, but I've been doing the whole Asian study thing. I've been buying pottery from Thailand, which really tends to illuminate my doings here. It's filled with money, as usual. I keep it filled with money, and that pretty much works good. The whole idea of keeping these pottery from Thailand and writing letters to Zhang Ji and Arthur Golden isn't really centered around the books I got last week from Cambodia or anything like that. It's been about trauma, and Kabuki Man, and keeping me into that whole thing with Zhang Ji. I have to pronounce it right, Zhang Ji. And Kabuki Man culture, and just so I can add stuff on, and it's there, and then it snowballs to an extent. So these people who I met from Cambodia, and they wrote their books about the Khmer Rouge regime during the late 70s. I don't know. I can't really tell you anything. I feel as though like they can't work because they're a little stressed out. You know, originally I found the lyrics to this song, and someone translated them for me, and everything was going. I was very lucky out there for a little while, and then when I started talking to them, they're very unable to work, and they can't communicate. They wanted, first they asked me, they're like, what can you do? So I said, oh, I can submit a book to the agency, because I got the number like a year ago. And because they're trying to get a movie made, but I don't want to, I mean, as of now, I'm not going to vouch for them. I'm not going to seriously vouch for them until you can look over what I got so far, and you can see the creative photo place, and I can give you better footage of like the cup and the paintings I drew, and just see all the brainstorming that goes on, because I don't put it together, you know, like when Bob Marley used to write lyrics, he never wrote it down on paper, right? So they're really wrestling with that. They're wrestling with the fact that I don't write stuff down on paper so it doesn't get stolen, nor do I keep everything concise. And like, if you're not the agent whose telephone number I got, you're not going to get the full story, even if you're, and it's not because we set it up to be complex for them. It's because that's the way the internet is. You have to be careful and keep things, either you want to take a chance at getting stuff used the wrong way, or else you want to keep it private. So I've been leaning towards keeping it private, and so I can't help them as much as I would like to. You know, I would help them if they were friendlier, and they weren't as they didn't have whatever it is, the post-traumatic stress from the labor camps. If they didn't have the post-traumatic stress, you know, we'd be having a great time. But I feel as though they're trying to push trauma out of the picture. After Sergeant Kabuki Man put me in the same playing field as Arthur Golden. And I want to make as many, I don't want to really sort through them in a way where I'm looking at who is relevant here or who is relevant there. Because in a way, you know, despite the bizarre aspects of trauma films, and sometimes, you know, their content is a little bit of risque, I guess you could say, risque or something. If you look at trauma now, it's kind of like a little bit of a school learning place. So I don't want people to just push something away because they're not used to it, when I know people my age are going there and they're working and they're getting a lot of stuff out of it. So if that continues, then I don't want anything to do with those two authors. I don't. But I told them about how I was in there with Burma and Michelle Yeoh, and I knew about Suu Kyi and the lady whose book, I should have brought her book out here so I could show it to you while I was talking, because you don't know who's going to see these things. But if I showed you her book, you know, it would really mean a lot, because I think that I'm much more connected to her, and she's trying to create an identity in the world today for herself. According to some tabloids, she's trying to create an identity. And, you know, sometimes when they don't touch base, sometimes they do. China's very opinionated, and if they give, sometimes there's common sense and this basic way of doing transactions. And then there's sometimes they have the latest thing, or they come out with the latest ruling, and you're like, oh, I'll just stay away from this. You know, I don't want to get caught up in the new thought trend. that's coming out of Beijing. But I mean, basically, the lawyers and the agents, they can change that, basically, to an extent, between people like me and the celebrity. And they need a very large playing field. They need a whole football stadium. They have a football stadium for the agents who are litigating things between me and the celebrity in Beijing. And you have the people at Trauma who work with the memoirs of a geisha, like Arthur Golden. And you have me, who I just put money into stuff like this, and I try not to put too much, I try not to mass-promote it. I try to put less information in there. So people, just stuff that people can take and use and expand on, and get the agents. But as for now, those two authors, I'm not gonna work with them because of the post-traumatic stress that they might have. That's gonna be like a speculation that I have. I'm just not gonna look into it. I'm just like, give them the benefit of the doubt. They probably got some stress issues, and that's it. And I'll show you the stuff that I have that I don't really bring out, like in Thailand. And then there's probably something more to be said, that I know one of the authors has the same hat, and I tried to explain to her, like, oh, I have this hat too. And I think that they have some issues. And I'll outline the potential issues that I think they could have in the next video that I make. But yeah, I just wanted to show this. So you can see, I keep these things full of money. This is something for Zhang Ji that I do on a regular basis. I keep money for that. 20s in here, 10s, 20s, singles. And this is what I do with ICM, basically. And I keep this money here for doing that in particular. I'm not going to let my horizons be affected by this whole thing in Cambodia, because they're not doing what I think that they should be doing to the extent that I want them to do it. They should have open minds. Beggars can't be choosers. Being a refugee doesn't really necessarily make you a beggar, but we've obviously come to that scenario. And I would give them money, but they have to respect what Zhang Ji is doing. And maybe I'll wait to hear back from Zhang Ji before I do anything with them. They could be getting a lot of publicity, but they made a bad decision. And that is something that all people have to be mindful of. Whether you're a refugee or if you're a millionaire Rockefeller who lives in a skyscraper in New York. If you make a bad decision, then you lose money. So there's nothing I can do. They obviously made the wrong decision from my perspective by blocking different Twitter accounts that I have. Because what would happen if everything that I said relating to these people was on the same Twitter? Anyone could just go there and look at it, and there was no effort on my part to prevent the passage of information to people who I had no control over, and from them effectively from outside areas. The more simple the philosophy, the better it is. The easier it is to keep hidden, and the less there is to steal. This could be anything. I could be putting money into anything. This isn't a big, conspicuous piece of intellectual property. This is just money going into arts and crafts, something that I could do in Beijing. It would be a big conspiracy strategy, unlike Jackie Chan's son, who's having trouble. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to put this video on the DVD, and I'm going to send it to you. I'll show you the books, and then you'll have this DVD. I won't even send the books.